All right, so this video is gonna be about the center, really, of the shop, and that is this mill right here. It's a Southwestern Industries ProtoTrack KSX3 with an SMX controller. It's a really sweet mill, and it's got a set of really nice vices on it right now. And it's got a lot of cool features. I'm gonna try to run through some of it, give you some pointers as to some things you should and shouldn't do. First of all, this shouldn't be like that. That's currently on, and I have no clue why. It should be set at 0, just for safety's sake. This right here that adjusts the speed, you don't turn it unless the spindle's running. It'll destroy the machine if you turn it if you try to adjust the speed while the machine is off. Over here we have our high and low settings control. So if you notice right here, we've actually got 2 speeds, one is low and one is high. So this is essentially what tells you which one you're using. When you're resetting this, you're going to want to be down here turning the spindle manually to help the gears to engage, right? So then, in order to really move anything around, we've got to come over to the controller, just hit anywhere, right? Make sure it's not in safety mode, and we can go into DRO, which is digital readout, and that will allow me to now come down here to these handles, and I can move stuff around. And there's one right here, and there's also the one right here, and that's going to control the spindle right there. So now with using these, there are actually 2 settings for them. There's a fine and there's a coarse. That should be pretty obvious as what it does. You can change your display, some various different things here, all very handy. And that's about it for the DRO mode. You also have a program in out, and so you can put a USB drive right in here, and you can pull in G-code programs that are posted from here. In this shop we use HSM mostly, but feel free to use whatever you want. You can edit your code, and it's coming to setup. You can build out your tool table, and you have to do this to tell the machine what size tools it's dealing with. You can view the tool path of the code you put in there. Essentially tell it where the machine is, verify the part. It'll kind of play through it on the computer just to see what's going on. What else do we have? We can run the part, of course. And when you actually have a part in here, one of the things you can do is really cool is you can press this tracking button. And what that'll allow me to do is now I can come down here and use this hand wheel, and now that's gonna run through my part for me. I can go backwards, go forwards, slow, fast, whatever I want. I can do that using this tracking mode, and then when I want to go to the next thing, I can just press the stop button, CNC run, and go. And that's a really, really handy feature. Some other things that you might not notice initially: system button. This will allow you to go to 2-axis mode. So currently when you're running, the Z-axis is going to be controlled by the computer, right, in 3-axis mode. So if you say, you've moved around somewhere and you want to manually lower the Z-axis, that won't be available. When that happens, come here, system, 2-axis mode, and now you can control the Z-axis independent of the XY axis. The XY axis can still be controlled by the computer, and you can be doing Z-axis, which essentially just turns you into 2-axis computer. These other things don't really need to worry about. The only other thing is that with the shutdown, this machine, because it's running on Windows XP embedded, needs to be shut down and restarted about every 3 weeks. So if you're having some problems, it's just running slow, giving you some trouble, just go ahead and shut it down, right? Mode. So there are all sorts of cool things in here. A lot of it you're just gonna have to read on your own. Watch videos, shoot me an email, and I'd be glad to tell you what I know. The manual is down, well, not there, is down in here with all the other stuff that came with the mill. So if you find yourself needing that, there too, there's one for the machine itself and one for the controller. Also with this controller, I've loosened some of the stuff, so you can now move it on over like this, right? And I've put a keyboard and mouse in here. So now we have a keyboard and mouse control, which can come in really handy for certain operations. And that's just what this little thing up here is for. As far as actually using the mill, you've got this cool little knee jack over here, this power thing. So you've got a speed control here, and you can go up or down, and just leave it off and leave it on 0 speed. Or if you really want to crank, and you could try to do that. It's not easy to do, and there's no real point. As far as loading the collets in and out, got your standard in out with the air drive up there. The really important thing is that you need to go into DRO, and if your spindle's down here somewhere, right, you need to make sure it's all the way up before you pull stuff in or out. When you grab your collet, with the extra tool in it, it's very important that you really get it seated up in there very, very well. So normally, like we've got that other mill in the Whitaker building that looks very similar. It is very similar, really. So normally, like on that mill, this is good enough, and it's not on this one. You got to get it really up in there before you can now come in here and press, you know, the, and it's still not up in there enough. You know what, this thing, it's really crazy how much it, how well it needs to be in there, really. All right. And then, so I don't know if you could hear it, but you know, I ran until it just kind of was done. You hear a different sound. It's now you're good. Whenever you're leaving the mill alone, you want to pull that out. Just press the out button and catch your tool. As far as collets go, we've got, you know, a bunch of R8 collets down here. We also have some tool holders that don't fit this kind of machine. We've got a awesome looking fly cutter, and we've got our Jacobs chuck. This should only be used for up and down drilling. Don't do anything sideways. And this should only be used if you really, really know what you're doing with it. There's a problem with these kinds of tool holders, though. They don't give you repeatable Z-axis control. So you end up where you are going to have to, every time you use the thing, if you can find it, every time you use the machine, you're going to have to come in here, and I don't know where the thing went. But you're going to have to go ahead and redo the Z-axis. So to prevent that from being necessary, we're trying to get some different tool holders, but they're not here yet. So that's something you want. Make sure to pester somebody about it. Another thing, when you're in DRO mode, everything's whining and it's annoying. Press mode and that stops. And I guess that's about it. The only other thing I can think of is that the proper direction for cutting is 1. That's going to give you the clockwise direction. And then when you switch over to low mode, it's going to be the opposite, the 1 running 2. And that's it.